Good evening, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are in the world. Welcome. This is Pete from FigLife.com, and today I'm going to be looking at doing a review of my best new varieties for 2021. I'm going to take a look at, think about all the varieties that I tried this year and pick out some of the best ones and talk about those. And I'm also gonna go ahead and rank those just because everybody likes rankings, so I'll go ahead and I'll put a ranking against them. But the more important thing I think is just to talk about some of the great qualities that each of these figs has and some of the things that makes these figs special. And I did try a bunch of new figs this season, so I feel like I have a lot to talk about more than in seasons past for me. I did try a lot more new figs this season than I normally do, and another thing I should say before I get started here is, I new varieties for me. When I say new varieties, it could be rare varieties that very few people have ever tried. That could be the case, or it could be varieties that have been around for a while and there's just not much information out there about them, or it could even be some varieties that some people have had for a while and some people have been talking about, but I have just never tried them myself. So when I talk about new varieties, really it's new for me. And some people may see me talk about a variety in this video and they say, well, that's not a new variety. Yeah, okay, but it is new for me, and in most of these cases there's not a lot of information out there about them, so I decided to go ahead and put these in the new varieties category instead of in the proven variety category, which is what I did last time, and I actually just did a video on that a few days ago. So if you want to see my best proven varieties, check out the other video that I just did recently. So this will be about new varieties, and like I said, it's not necessarily the rarest varieties out there. It's just kind of new stuff for me, or stuff that there wasn't a lot of information on out there. So so anyway, I got my website pulled up here. This is FigLife.com. So I'm going to use that as I go through this, because this is where I've got this is what I'm using really to organize the stuff that I'm going to be talking about. Sometimes people will ask me for, do you have photos of this or do you have photos of that? And unfortunately, I don't really organize my stuff all that well. After I take the photos, I usually just post them, and then I'll make a video and I'll post that. So most of the information that I have categorized is actually there on the website. So I'll just be using the website when I talk through a lot of these different varieties. So what else did I want to say? I guess that's about it. Yeah, I guess I can go ahead and get started. So let's see. Oh, yeah, you know what? Some people like doing like top 10 lists, and that's great. And I sort of talked about this also in my last video. I thought about cutting it down to 10, but there's so many varieties that I wanted to talk about that I decided not to do a top 10 list, and I just decided to just pick a random number, not really pick a number at all, but just kind of limit it to, okay, here's the varieties I really want to talk to, and that came out actually to 22 different varieties. So I've got 22 different varieties that I'm going to talk about. So my last video I did a top 12 list. This video for the new varieties, I'm actually going to do a top 22 list. And so I'll see how long that takes. I think when I did my top 12, it took about an hour. So if it ends up taking about 2 hours, then I might go ahead and just split this up into 2 parts or something. But we'll just, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. So, so the first fig so I'll just go ahead and get started here. So I'm going to start at the bottom, because that way I can save the best for last, right? So the first fig I want to talk about is, let me see if I can find it here. So, so again, I kind of broke this out in a similar way on my website, where I've got kind of the new variety section, and then I've got the proven, I call it proven winners, but the proven variety section. And so I did talk about this a little bit in my last video, the proven variety video, but I'll just go over it again here. So The reason I did that is because I don't feel like it's really a fair comparison to take a brand new variety that there's either not much information about or that you've only grown real briefly. So maybe, I mean, maybe you only have ever tried like one fig off this tree, you know? So it's not really fair to pair that, you know, compare that variety up against like Smith or something, you know, a variety for which there's many years of information about from many different growers. I just didn't feel like that was an apples to apples comparison, so I want to just break it out into two separate videos. So this is the video about figs that I have limited information on, limited experience growing, and so you know just understand that when I'm saying how great a fig is, or you know maybe a fig's not great, maybe I'm saying a fig's not great, just take into consideration that this is just based off limited information. So there's a lot of different factors that can come into play. You know, sometimes figs improve dramatically over the course of several years. So this is just this stuff I'm going to talk about today is just based off a limited amount of information. Just a single season usually in terms of information. And also, just important to understand for those who don't know, I'm here in Northern Virginia, so East Coast, Mid-Atlantic region. And also I'm growing the figs in pots. So there's different regions going to have different figs probably. If somebody has a shorter season or they have a longer season, that's going to impact which figs are going to be best for them. If somebody is growing in the ground, that could change their weighting on which figs are more valuable for them to grow. So a lot of different things to consider. So just whenever you're listening to somebody talk about what the best variety is, just take into consideration that growing conditions play a big part in what fig is going to be best for you. So these are figs that I thought were good or had some special qualities here in Northern Virginia during the season. So we'll get started here. So these are here on alphabetical order here on my website, and actually, the first one I wanted to talk about was number 22. Number 22, Fracazzano Nero is the fig.
We booked a cozy Verbo mountain cabin.
Hold on. Whoa. All right, so Fracazzano Nero. And I've actually kind of forgotten. Some of these figs, like I remember, I'm like, oh yeah, that was great. Or I was coming up the ranking, and I was like, okay, yeah, this is why the one I want to put here. But then, it's a lot of figs to remember. So I'll probably pull up the videos a little bit more in this one than I did on my proven winner list, just because I do have less information, less experience with these figs than some of my other figs. So this is Fracazzano Nero, and as the season went on, I think this was usually when I'm doing these videos, it's like the first fig I got off the tree or something, and it's just because I had 100 and I don't know how many videos I did, but I did a lot of videos, and if I didn't just keep up with it, it would have been the end of the season, and I would have had to have done 100 videos, and I wouldn't have been able to do it. So I just kind of was doing these as I went along, and so this video I remember was early. It was one of the first figs I'd gotten off this tree, and I remember it tasting good. I mentioned here in this video that it was kind of I wouldn't necessarily call this a Violet de Bordeaux type. As the season went along, it definitely seemed less and less like a Violet de Bordeaux type. It's much larger than a Violet de Bordeaux, and but it's got the dark skin, and I was just really impressed with the flavor. It had a good flavor. It was a large dark fig, and it didn't have a lot of splitting issues like you get with Violet de Bordeaux types a lot of times, or a Black Madeira type. So just overall, I just was pleasantly surprised by the performance of this fig, and seemed to have a good. I think it was towards the end of the season where I was kind of like, wow, this is actually producing a lot of figs, and they're tasting pretty good. So I think it was just one. That's what kind of struck me about this variety. Is it just kind of produced a lot of good tasting figs, and they were kind of on the larger size. This one here, this first one was a little bit. It was a little bit smaller. I mean, this one doesn't look real huge or anything, but actually it looks kind of small. But I think they got a little bit larger as the season went along, and you know, good flavor. I think I'm like shooing a hold on, let's watch me. Oh man, I had a bee or something coming after me there. All right, but this was a good. So I put this on the list. I did want to mention this, but I just remember it. I just remember it having a good flavor, and producing a lot of good figs for me in the first season. And I remember thinking this isn't exactly like other figs I have. It's not. You know, I wouldn't really call it a. I don't think I thought it was a Violet de Bordeaux type. And you know, certainly wasn't a Black Madeira type. So it's kind of like, it's kind of a little different than the other figs I tried, and just seemed to be pretty good. So I just mentioned that Fracazzano Nero for number 22. So that was one I kind of liked this season. And actually, let me. So these are alphabetical, and these will send you directly to the videos. But I also have a page here. If you go to Rare and New Trials up there, I've got them all here. And as I mentioned last time, obviously these are not in alphabetical order. In fact, I got Zafiro near the top here. So this is actually not. Well, obviously not alphabetical. This is actually in the order in which I made the videos. So, so TC12. Actually, I did do a TC12 video kind of first, and it's not a super early ripener though. It's actually kind of a little later in the season. I just happened to get one because it started under the grow lights or something, and then like ended up ripening really early. And it didn't taste very good. But then I made another video later. Anyway, long story short, this is the order in which I made the videos. So, so generally speaking, some of the earlier ones are near the top, and some of the later ones are near the bottom. And that kind of makes sense. Like Black Tuscan is obviously a pretty late variety, Black Madeira type. You know, some of these other ones, Mario 50. And then near the top, you got some of these that are well known as being earlier figs. Verdolino, Campenieri, I think, is pretty early. So anyway, that's what order these are in. So anyway, moving on, number 21. I think we're on 21. Baja Del Vela. So, and if you click here, it'll also take you to the video. So just Baja Del Vela. This was a good fig. It's a Portuguese variety. I got a lot of productivity out of this in its first year. This was, again, like the first fig I got off the tree or something. So it started off, they seemed to be kind of small figs. You can see this one here was kind of small. But towards the end of the season, they started looking more like a Hardy Chicago type fig. That's kind of what I thought of it as the season progressed. You can see how small this one is. And really, it's got kind of a lighter skin with a real berry interior. But as the season progressed, the skin started having like a darker coloring to it, and the fig was a little bit larger. And so it started to resemble like a Hardy Chicago type look to it. But it had a really good flavor. And I think it's one that shows promise. So I liked it. I mean, you know, didn't have any trouble splitting. Of course, I had SWD issues. You know, it's rare, very rare for a fig to have strong SWD resistance. And you know, that's another thing to point out here in the climate that I'm growing in, or that I'm living in, is that I have a strong SWD pressure here, which is to say that I have tons and tons of SWD all season long. So that's the climate in which I'm growing. That's just the situation I'm in. So, you know, I got to deal with that, and basically what it means is I have to bag everything, or it just gets infested. I mean, there's really just no way around it. I was what's going on here? Oh, the video's over. I was I was even thinking of spraying. I had some sprays ready to go. I talked about that in one of my videos. I showed the different sprays that I was ready to use for the SWD, and I ended up never actually using those sprays just because the organza bags worked so well. I mean, you just got to be disciplined about using them all the time. So, so it's just another thing to understand when I'm thinking about best figs, SWD, the ability to ripen figs without them getting infested by SWD is a big factor for me. With understanding that I am also using tons and tons of organza bags, and trying to be very disciplined about putting those things on. So, yeah, that was, I'll call that 21. Baja Del Vela. Seemed to be pretty good. One that shows promise. Yeah, and that's true for a lot of these. I mean, these new varieties, it's hard to say, hey, this is for sure an awesome variety. I mean, really, a lot of times all you can just say is, this variety shows promise because just such limited amount of experience growing those things. So, what's going on, buddy? What are you doing down there? So anyway, moving on to what number are we on here? Number 20. Whoa, number 20. We're in the top 20. All right. So number 20, I'm going to call that, where is it? Let me see if I can find it here. Scroll through my list here. And, another thing that I'll mention, and it'll probably become obvious as I go through this list, but, I place a lot of value on a fig ripening early. Even to the extent, like, you could have a great, like, I've talked about this in some of my other videos about how I just am not super thrilled with Black Madeira types. People talk about how great the flavor is for Black Madeira, and I'm just like, it's okay. I mean, because I'm generally not ripening great tasting Black Madeira figs. Usually they just aren't well ripened. Usually they split. And so, I just don't have a great ability to ripen them here. And then also they're late. I place a lot of value if I have a variety that's giving me good tasting figs for an extended period of time that are relatively hassle-free. That is a lot more valuable to me than a variety that's going to produce one or two and it's real finicky and you got to have perfect weather and all that. So that's kind of some of the things I value when I'm looking at different varieties. Is it's not necessarily a single perfect fig, but the ability to ripen figs consistently. So, number 20 is c'est bon. C'est bon, which is a French word, and I think it's a couple words, and I believe it means that's good. So c'est bon is was a fig I liked a lot. I mean, I didn't know what to expect. Supposedly this fig's been here in the United States for quite a while, and so usually if you haven't heard about a fig and it's been here for a while, it's probably nothing special. So I think I traded for C'est Bon. I hadn't heard much about it, but there was like a couple of reviews from like years ago, and some people were saying good things about it, and so I was like, I'll try it. And so I tried C'est Bon, and I was like, whoa, this is really good. So I don't know why nobody's talked more about this one, but I actually liked C'est Bon a lot. It had a really good sweet flavor. I didn't have a lot of trouble with it. It's sort of, I wouldn't say it looks like a Hardy Chicago because you see like the stem there, just the shape doesn't quite look like a Hardy. It doesn't quite look right for a Hardy Chicago to me. Look at the stem on that thing. And then the flavor was sweeter than a Hardy Chicago, I thought. But it was really good. I was really surprised. And again, these were like the first figs I got off the tree. So some varieties it takes a few years to really develop a nice flavor. But this one was really tasting good, kind of from the very beginning. And let's see if it's got me eating it there. I don't know what I'm saying, but I'm probably saying that's good, because it did have a really good really good flavor. Um, so, so that's one to, that's one, it's one of those that I think it could be low maintenance and just really, producing really good figs pretty much the whole grow season for folks in my climate. And so it wasn't like one where it's like, oh, this is a new flavor necessarily, or this is like a special flavor. It just was a good flavor, and it seemed to be producing a lot of figs very reliably. So I think that's one that more folks ought to give a shot and see if they like it. Shouldn't be that. I don't know. Maybe it is hard to find because I couldn't. You don't hear much about it, but it's been in the U.S. for a while, so there should be people that have it. Anyway, all right, moving on. Let's see what's next here. All right, moving on to number 19. So this is one. All right, 19. Where are we? Okay, yeah, Campenieri. I mean, this is one. I felt obligated to put it on here because it is new for me. I'd never grown this one before. It was my first year trying Campenieri. But this is one there is a lot of awareness of. I mean, lots of people are growing Campenieri now. It's kind of a hot fig. I mean, this is kind of distinctive of Campenieri. I thought it's got this like almost like pink eye. I know there's a technical name for this, but a pink area around the eye here, and then the light skin. I just thought that was kind of distinctive. I've seen that a lot. Small fig. It was good. I mean, early. I mean, these are all good qualities. I didn't put it super high on my list because I did have some issues with spoilage with the SWD getting in there, and then also there's already a lot of like hype and stuff about it, so I didn't feel like it was. I guess it's expectations game too, to some extent. Like if you're expecting it to be really awesome, and then it's just like great, then you're like, oh, it's only great. I was expecting it to be super awesome. So, Campenieri. Yeah, it's good. It's good. I would definitely recommend folks try that one out. Again, it's got a lot of those great qualities. The smaller figs a lot of times are easier to grow without spoiling. Usually the larger figs you have more trouble with spoilage. There are some exceptions to that. In fact, there's going to be one pretty high on my list that is an exception to that. One example is Dalmati, large fig, but I don't have a lot of trouble with spoilage on that one for some reason. So that rule doesn't always hold, but this is a smaller type fig, good taste, pretty early, so a lot of good qualities from Campenieri. So I will go ahead and add my voice to the chorus of folks that like Campenieri. But I don't want to spend too much time on that one because, like I said, there's a lot of awareness of that one already. So I'm going to move on to another one, and this next one, I think I'm on number 18. Moving to 18, so let's find number 18 here. Where is it? Okay, let me go through my list. I'll start at the top because most of my best ones are near the top here. Where is it? Oh, I see it. Okay, number 18 is Moscatel Verde. Moscatel Verde. Yeah, so this is one that I'm excited to talk about because you don't hear anything about it, and so it's not like I'm discovering this. I mean, this is a Fig du Monde variety, so it's already it's already part of that collection. So of course, the Fig du Monde collection is supposed to be some of the best figs in the world, all together in one sort of collection. And actually, in general, I have been really impressed with the Fig du Monde varieties that I've tried so far this year. They were of unusually high quality, most of them. And this is one in particular that I did enjoy a lot. And the reason I liked Moscatel Verde is because it had just kind of a really unique flavor. And I like that. I like when figs have some sort of unique quality to them. And so let me go ahead and click on the video here. Oh, look at that. I'm in like landscape format now or something. That was some feedback I got like halfway through the season, is that I should be using this different format. So yeah, there's me with Moscatel Verde. So what I liked about Moscatel Verde is it had a really creamy flavor, like a unique. It was sort of like a unique creamy flavor. There's only one other fig I know of that had a creamy flavor like this, and that is Isbat en Nage. That's the other fig. And I think about Isbat en Nage a lot when I think about Moscatel Verde, because there are some similarities. I mean, there's some differences too. And again, when I say there's similarities, don't take that to mean I think they're the same fig or anything like that. I just say there are some unusual similarities between these two figs, which is the shape. The shape is kind of similar. It's kind of like a roundish sort of fig. The way the eye looks is similar, and then what's most uniquely similar is they both have a creamy sort of flavor. Now, where the difference is in the actual taste, and then also some of the qualities, the ripening qualities, because Moscatel Verde actually ripens really reliably. I mean, I got a lot of good figs to ripen off Moscatel Verde, and it was ripening real late into the season. Towards the end of the season, it was one of the, I mean, along with Verdolino and like Improved Celeste, it was one of the last figs to really continue to taste good. But what I like about Moscatel Verde is the flavor, and that it has a unique flavor. It's creamy, like I mentioned, but then it's different than Isbat en Nage, which has like a banana-ish, or can have a banana-ish flavor. Moscatel Verde does not have a banana-ish flavor at all, at least not in its first season. Again, it's just first season, but it does not have a banana-ish flavor at all. It has a sweet flavor, so it's a sweet but really creamy flavor, which is weird in a fig. You don't often have that. And actually when I started eating this fig, I don't know if I picked it up the first time, but after like a couple weeks of eating this fig, I started to realize that it actually reminded me of eating like a bowl of oatmeal that you'd like put some like brown sugar on there, so it was nice and sweet. And you eat the oatmeal, and it has that creamy sort of texture as you swallow the oatmeal, and it kind of coats your mouth. And I know that's really strange to talk about a fig as having that sort of like taste, but that's actually kind of what it reminded me of, was like the taste of eating like a sweet bowl of oatmeal with that creaminess that just kind of coats your mouth as you swallow it. And it was really, I mean, it was unique, but really good. And I wouldn't. It had that that sort of flavor came across most like at the height of the season, so like late August time frame, when I had a lot of heat going on and some really good figs that were coming out, from a lot of different trees. So towards the very beginning and the end of the season, it didn't quite have so much of that. It was still sweet, it was still good, but not quite as much of that creaminess. But still, I got a lot of really good figs off Moscatel Verde, with that sweet creaminess, and I thought it was really unique. I certainly wasn't expecting that. I'm trying a lot of these figs for the first time, and for a lot of these, there wasn't a lot of information out there. This was one of them where I didn't have a lot of information ahead of time, didn't really know what to expect, and just sort of thought it was pretty cool. It was pretty neat, and again, if I'm getting like 3 different varieties and that's it, and I only have 3 figs, this probably isn't one of them. This is probably not one of the figs I would get. But if you got several figs already, maybe you have a bunch of figs, and you want something that's unique, you want something that's different than what you have already. I don't know of any other fig that really tasted like this, with this sort of creaminess and this unique sweet creamy flavor. So I really enjoyed Moscatel Verde this season. So that was my number 18, and maybe I should have even put that higher. I don't know, but it's on my list anyway, and I got to talk about it. So that was Moscatel Verde. I did like that a lot. That was a good one. Let's see. What else do I got here? What number am I on here? I am on 17. Number 17. What is number 17 today? See if I can find it. Sometimes not being in alphabetical order is not the greatest. Let's see here. Oh, there it is. Blackcrimean. Blackcrimean. So that's my number 17 for the new fig varieties. Ones that I thought were kind of interesting. So Blackcrimean is a Violet de Bordeaux type. You can see the leaves there. I mean, those are some pretty. Those are like Violet de Bordeaux looking leaves. And then, so when I got this, I didn't know really anything about Blackcrimean. I had no idea what it was. Didn't know it was Violet de Bordeaux type. Didn't know anything about it. So started growing. I'm like, okay, this looks like a Violet de Bordeaux type. And I started getting ripe figs, and I really liked it because with the Violet de Bordeaux types, I'm always looking for a Violet de Bordeaux type that does not split. Because as I mentioned in some of my previous videos, that was the issue I had with the actual fig variety Violet de Bordeaux, is there's just too much splitting. And so I didn't want to split, and then I want to have that nice, that nice flavor. And so, I'm always interested in fig varieties that have those qualities. I talked about Petit Aubique being a good variety that I was liking this year in one of my in my proven winner list. Well, this is similar sort of thing, but on my new variety list, because I had not really heard much of anything about this. And so I was growing Blackcrimean, and I was like, hey, man, this is a really great tasting Violet de Bordeaux type fig. And, it doesn't seem to split. This is great. This is good. I like this a lot. And I know I got a comment on my video from somebody, I think they were in Europe, and they said something like, oh, it's well known that this is Violet de Bordeaux. This is a synonym for Violet de Bordeaux, and it's exactly, it's the same. It's the same fig. And I was like, okay, all right, I appreciate that. I was glad that I at least identified correctly that it was a Violet de Bordeaux type. But apparently there was knowledge in Europe, or I don't know which country it was, that this was a fig that was synonymous with Violet de Bordeaux or whatever. And it may be that there's just different strains of Violet de Bordeaux. So, what's synonymous for one person maybe isn't synonymous for somebody else, because I'm here to tell you that the Violet de Bordeaux figs that I grew split really badly. And this variety right here, Blackcrimean, did not split. Hardly at all. I'm trying to think like the whole season if this really split, and I don't think it did. I don't think it did like ever. I did definitely get SWD problems. So it's not immune from SWD, but that's why I put the organza bags on. You can see right here, got organza bags all over the place. So at the end of the season, I thought about Blackcrimean. Hey, this is a good Violet de Bordeaux type fig. For me, it was different than actually Violet de Bordeaux because, like I said, I had a lot of issues with splitting on Violet de Bordeaux, and I didn't have those with this variety. But maybe somebody out there has a Violet de Bordeaux that doesn't have splitting issues, like a good strain of it or something, and this could be the same as that. I don't know, but for me, it was a good fig, and that's why I put it on my list as number 17, Blackcrimean. Actually, let me see if I got there's a picture of the fig right there. Just that's kind of funny face. There we go. All right. Well, anyway, so that was number 17. So moving on to number 16 of the new variety list. I know everybody's been very excitedly waiting for what is number 16. Well, I'm about to tell you. Actually, I have to go to the featured variety section for number 16 because it's not in. I actually have a special category, featured varieties. That has a bunch of really special ones on here. So I'm going to have to go back to this one several times here during this list. Okay, So it's somewhere on this list. Which one could it be? Number 16 is Nuestra Senora del Carmen. That's right, number 16. And some people may have thought, because there has been, word's been getting out, this is a good fig. Some people may have thought this would have been number 1, but it's not. It's number 16. And actually, this is my second year growing Nuestra Senora del Carmen. These photos right here were actually from last year. These ones on the top. These ones down here are from this year. Really nice looking fig. I mean, when you can get this to ripen properly, ripen well, it has a really good taste. It's I mean, you look at it, it looks like a really nice fig. Let me just click on this thing here. Yeah, but so why is it only number 16? In fact, there's been the hype. I would say the hype, but like the buzz around this fig was that there's a very well-known grower in California that said this was her best variety out of like a million varieties. So that's a pretty strong statement when you say this is your best tasting variety. And I will concur that it is a good tasting fig. But it's only number 16 for me. So why is that? Why is it number 16 and not like even in the top 10? And I'll tell you why. It's because it's late. It's really late. It's late, and so it's like as late as like Black Madeira types or Col de Dame types, right? This one here was kind of a freak of nature. This one I got pretty early in the season. I think because it started when it was in the greenhouse or something, and so it just got a huge jump start. So a lot of times these ripen late. So most of the figs don't ripen. I've got several Nuestra Senora del Carmen. I've got lots of unripe Nuestra Senora del Carmen figs outside right now that just aren't going to ripen, unfortunately. And the other problem with it is when it does ripen in cool weather, it doesn't taste nearly as good. So you really want this to ripen like August, September here. And this is just my experience. Maybe other people have different experiences, but my experience, when it starts ripening in the cooler weather, you start getting a little bit of an off-putting taste or flavor in the skin, which is not super pleasant. And the pulp still tastes pretty good, but the skin starts not to taste so good. And so, because of that, it's just not... It's really one where ideally you kind of need a longer season than what I have here. I mean, if I gave it a gigantic head start, maybe I could get more figs to ripen in August and September. But I did already give it a little bit of a head start, and I didn't get many figs to ripen. So that's why it's not near the top of the list. A lot of the figs for me near the top of my list are going to be figs that are going to produce a lot of ripe figs. And unfortunately, Nuestra Senora del Carmen just doesn't produce a lot of ripe figs. And if you have a shorter season than me, then you should really think carefully about whether you want to try to grow this variety, because it is very late. And so just take that into consideration. Now, if you have a longer season than me, especially like California, Arizona, this is probably going to be a great variety for you, because it can have a really good taste. So, and actually, I think I'm going to take a quick break. Because I'm gonna go eat my dinner, so I will be right back. All right, I'm back. I ate my dinner. I poured myself another glass of Guinness, so I think I'm ready to go here after that short intermission. All right. Nuestra Senora del Carmen. What number was I on? That was number 16. Good taste, but some qualities that are negatives for me, that are the opposite of the things that I'm looking for when I talk about what a desirable fig variety is here in Virginia. And again, earliness is something that I do place a high priority on. And if it's not going to be early, I'd like it to at least be mid-season. And Nuestra Senora del Carmen, excuse me, unfortunately just is not that. It's not mid-season. It's not definitely not early season. So, but this was I think I mentioned this. This was one of the few varieties that that I'm talking about in the new section that I'm actually growing for a second season. On my second season of Nuestro Señor del Carmen. So yeah, I think that's what I wanted to say about that one. So moving on to the next one, I'm going back to the rare and new trials section. The next one I wanted to talk about was number 15, Rossolino. There it is, Rossolino. Okay, all right. Unfortunately, I gotta get through the commercial here. Okay, there we go. All right. So Rossolino, you can see here a very, very small fig. But actually, as the season went on, again, this was like the first fig. As the season went on, the figs actually did get larger. So normally the Rossolino fig was a little bit larger than this one. But what did continue is it did have this kind of characteristic sort of stem here, kind of like I don't know what you call that, a knobby sort of stem or something. But that continued on as the season progressed. But this was a variety that I liked. I got a lot of good quality figs off this tree, and ended up having a favorable opinion of this as the season went on. Whoops, what's going on here? There we go. All right. Ended up having a favorable opinion of this as the season went on. I'm trying to think what to say about this. I did get a lot of figs off this tree. It was a first-year tree. I got a lot of growth, a lot of productivity, and yeah, I mean it was good. There was very little bad to say about it, except that it wasn't. I don't know. I wouldn't say it was like super unique. I mean, it was a berry flavored fig. Good quality. Nice and sweet. A lot of good qualities, but not like Moscatel Verde, where it had like some like really unique sort of like flavor or feature or something. So, but it was pretty early. I mean, this was one of this video is August 7th, and I gave mine a head start. So without a head start, it would have been a little later. But first season fig also. So again, a little hard to judge ripening dates, but seemed to be a pretty early fig. So that was a big positive with this one. And just all around a good fig that good flavor and good productivity. So that was Rossolino, and that's another one of those that there is a fair amount of awareness I think out there about this. There's some other growers talking about that this is a good fig. So I don't think I'm the only one saying that Rossolino is one to look out for. And if you get an opportunity to try that one, might be worth picking up. So that's Rossolino. Let's look at the inside here. That's not the inside, that's me. There we go. There's the inside of Rossolino. Again, this one's a little bit smaller than what I was typically getting later in the season. But I mean, it looks really good, doesn't it? It tasted good. So let's see here. Moving on to number 14. Number 14. All right, number 14. All right, so this is one where this is really just kind of new for me. I mean, this is one where some growers will say, well, that's not a new variety. Yeah, they're probably right, but it was new for me, and I was impressed with this fig this year, and that's Zafiro. So number 14, I put Zafiro, and let me see if I can get the video. There we go. It was early. I mean, this was July 15th. But again, I had a head start, so a couple weeks. So add a couple weeks to that for normal conditions. And also, first year, so I think I might have started this under, I probably did start this under the grow lights, so that completely messes up the ripening dates. But I think it's fairly well known that this is an earlier type fig. I kind of was thinking a lot about LSU purple when I was trying this variety. because LSU Purple also dark skin, also kind of a sugar sort of flavor. But the difference, I thought, was that Zafiro, first of all, in my opinion, has a much better flavor. And then number two, LSU Purple takes like 3 years really to start tasting good at all. Before that, I just didn't really care for it. And Zafiro, I mean, like first year, first fig, tasting great. So I really liked Zafiro. I thought, for sugar figs, like this has got to be a top consideration. Like if you don't have a sugar fig, this is probably the one to get. So I liked Zafiro a lot. But again, this is one that a lot of growers have been talking about for a while. So you can make an argument that this shouldn't really go in the new and rare variety section. Fair enough. But for me, it was new. For me, it was the first year growing it. So I put it in this list. And so that's Zafiro. So moving on to number 13. Lucky number 13 is one that is more of a rare variety. Not a lot of folks have it. And that is the One. The One. Yeah, new and rare. Not a lot of folks have it. Not a lot of folks had even heard of it, I think, because when I posted that on like Instagram or whatever, the One, people would ask, "What's the name of it?" It's like, well, no, that is the name. The name is the One. So this is supposedly like a good strain of Blue Celeste or something is what people say. And I had actually never grown Blue Celeste. It does kind of have, I mean, you can tell there, it kind of has like a Celeste sort of shape to it. I do grow Improved Celeste, and so, Improved Celeste has kind of that shape. So I was, I've never had Blue Celeste, but it did kind of, I can kind of see that, like, yeah, okay, Celeste-like. But it had a really nice sweet flavor. Seemed to hold up well in the rain. And there it is. Well, I say hold up well in the rain as in it didn't split. But one thing I didn't like about it is that the skin seemed to be really like fragile, and so when it did rain and I had the organza bags on it, like I always do, that can have an effect on the skin, and with the real thin skin, it tended to more easily have some damage or some rot occurring, like on the skin itself. So that was kind of a knock against it, but otherwise, a lot of good qualities about this fig. It seemed to be pretty early. Had a good sweet flavor. So yeah, the one thing I didn't like about it was just the thinness of the skin, which a lot of times people, in drier climates, I think that's a favorable quality, is it has a thin skin, but for me, having to deal with the rain and the organza bags and all that, I thought the thin skin was a little bit of a liability on this variety. So, but otherwise I thought it was good. That's the One. Still kind of rare. You don't see that you don't see the One available too often yet. But pretty good one. So moving on to number 12. All right. So we're getting up here. I think this is where we're starting with number 12. We're starting to get into the ones that I really liked. All the ones we've talked about were good. I wanted to talk about them, but they weren't like if I had to narrow it down to 12, like, okay, yeah, the top 12, that would probably be it. But this is like maybe a next level here. So this is exciting. The top 12. So let me see if I can find number 12 on this list here. See if I can find it. I don't see it yet. It's got to be here somewhere. Oh, I see it. All right, number 12. The top new varieties for 2021 is Honey Plum. Honey Plum. And this is one that has been around for a little while. I mean, I want to say it's been a couple years maybe. But I don't feel like there's been recognition. I don't feel like there's been adequate recognition of this variety. This is, of course, this is a Sacred Origin fig variety. It's one that she introduced. And I tried several this year, several Sacred Origin varieties. But this was the one that I was really impressed with. And the only one on my top 22 list or what have you. But this is one I liked a lot. I liked this fig a lot. And the reason I liked it is I got a lot of good quality figs off this tree. And they had a really nice, I thought, kind of unique flavor. And I thought the name Honey Plum actually was a really accurate description of the fig. It does have like a honey plum type flavor. Even, sometimes I feel like sometimes figs are named after how they taste in California, and then you go outside of California and they just don't have that flavor at all. I think that kind of happens a lot. But this one actually did taste like honey plum. It tasted really, really good. And you can see, there we go. There's the fig. So it's a really nice sized fig. And I didn't have any issues with, you can see pretty tight eye on that thing. I had very few issues with spoilage. As long as I did the normal organza bag thing, I had really no issues with spoilage on this fig. Really good, just a nice solid fig there. Really, and so it was one of those low number of issues with honey plum. I would grow it and I wouldn't have a lot of spoilage. I wouldn't have a lot of losses. I felt like it, maybe it was easy to tell when it was ripe, or it's just like whenever I picked it, it was always ripe and it always tasted really good. And the flavor was good. It had like I said, a nice plum, like sweet plum flavor, which was, I thought, kind of unique. I mean, maybe there's growers out there that are like, oh no, there's other figs that taste like this. Okay, I mean, I haven't had a fig that tastes like this, so it's, if nothing else, unusual, and I thought really good. I mean, this is this is one of the best figs that I grew this season, I think. Honestly, it was really good, and it's first year too. So I liked honey plum a lot. Let me see if I can fast forward this here. Yeah, that's me liking the fig. Yeah, so no, I did. I thought, and the thing is, I started getting this. I think September 13th was when I did this video. So that was probably about the first fig I got. So mid-September. But then I kept getting probably into mid-October. And this being the first season I was growing this, maybe to be earlier next year. It's really hard to tell ripening dates when in the first year, because you got to grow it out and it's got to root and all that stuff. So it is hard to tell ripening dates, but I feel like especially if this is earlier next year. I mean, this could be a really good fig for East Coast growers for sure. So that's one I think a lot more people ought to try out. And I think a lot of people, they get turned off by the sort of exotic names, and they just assume like, oh, all these are just like, it's just California, growers like having these flavors, and it's not going to taste good outside of California. And I can understand that, but for this one does actually taste really good here in Northern Virginia. So I think more people ought to try that one out. So that's honey plum, and one that I like quite a bit this season. So number 11, moving up to number 11. Let's see if I can find number 11 here. Where is number 11? See if I can find it. Oh, I see it. All right, number 11, and this is one that there was some hype about, I think, but maybe well deserved. This is Blue Princess for number 11 on my top new varieties for 2021. Blue Princess. Did not know what to expect. You know, I knew there was a little bit of hype around this one. There was one that had sold on FigBid for quite a bit of money, and it had like never sold. Like it was just rare. Like no one had it, and so it was selling for a lot of money. And yeah, so I didn't know what to expect. There was not a lot of information out there about it, not a lot of photos of it. But this is it right here, Blue Princess, and it's got this really pretty reddish, you know, almost like purplish like color to it, which was pretty neat. There we go, and and then the eye was usually pretty tight, so I ended up getting a bunch of Blue Celeste figs off my tree to ripen. You can see again mid-September for the kind of the first video I did, or the video I did on this, which is probably about the first fig I got. But this was again first year tree, so it's hard to judge ripening dates. So maybe mid-season, I don't know. It's hard to say, but pretty tight eye, and just a nice solid fig. It was one of those where, again, with the organza bag, I didn't have a lot of issues. I didn't have, you know, I've said this in some of my other videos. Ultimately, the question is, am I throwing this fig in the garbage or am I putting it in my mouth? And this is another one of those where I was just putting it, I wasn't throwing them away. I was getting to eat them. So, for whatever reason, it seemed to hold up pretty well against the weather and all that. Granted, I put organza bags on everything. So and then the flavor, you know, the flavor, let me see if I can get there we go. Yeah, there's the inside. So the flavor was really good, and just a really nice berry flavor. Let's see, I put in my comments here that came from Nikki's collection. I actually didn't know that until, I'm sure I knew it at one point, but I just wasn't aware of it. Yeah, I think this is still pretty rare. I think I don't think a lot of people have this one. But I think if you have the opportunity to get this one at a reasonable price, definitely worth trying this one, because I liked this one. It was I thought a good quality fig, good taste. I really liked the color of it. I thought it was just a pretty looking fig, like a fig that looked nice, and not a lot of bad things to say about it. You know, I can't really think of a bad thing to say. Look at the leaf there on that thing. That was a pretty cool leaf. So a lot of neat qualities about Blue Princess that I liked, and so that's one that I think another one that I think more people should be growing, trying that one out, Blue Princess. So, yeah, so that was my number 11, Blue Princess. So we're moving up now. We've gone through 11. We've gone through. Oh, how many have we done? Like 12 of them already. So now we're in the top 10. Top 10 varieties. And I think I've been going for about 45 minutes here. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take an intermission here, like a 1 or 2 day intermission. And I'm going to come back and I'm going to finish this top 10 list off here in a couple days. So I'm going to leave everybody in suspense. You know, what are the top 10 new varieties? People could probably guess a couple of them. In fact, if you go to my featured varieties section, you'll probably see a few of them there. But on my website. But some of them you may not guess. In fact, I'm pretty certain that you will not guess several of these. So I'm excited to finish this list off, but I'm gonna give it a couple more days here. Take a break. I can only talk for about 45 minutes or an hour before my voice starts going hoarse anyway, so I don't think I could finish the list tonight. So hopefully you enjoyed this. We're halfway there basically through the new varieties of 2021. Again, hopefully you enjoyed this. I'll put a plug here for my website. So www.figlife.com. Go to the homepage. I'll just show everybody around my website here. So I'm going to be selling some stuff off my website. I should be selling cuttings in December time frame, and then probably be selling some rooted cuttings or some young plants in probably March, April timeframe. And you can either click on the banner here on the top of the website, or I've got the shop link here, which is currently empty, but it'll fill up here in December. And then I've also got a link, direct link to any auctions that I've got going on FigBid, which I'll put some stuff on FigBid, I think, but I'm going to try to sell some stuff through my website, so we'll see how that goes. That'll be my first time. And then I've just got some blog stuff going on here, some different, mostly videos, but some other stuff there too. I got the featured variety section, which is just a short list here. I got the proven winners, which is this list here, and then also I've got it arranged alphabetically with this goes to links to the YouTube videos. I got rare and new trial section, which is a lot of stuff that people probably haven't seen before, and then just some different things, some links to some useful fig links. At least I think they're useful. And then if you want to go ahead and get announcements sent out to you that I have sales coming up via my website or something, go ahead and enter your email in here in the subscribe section. And then before I start selling on my website, I will send it out to the mailing list. I'll just send out an announcement, hey, I'm going to be selling stuff this Sunday or whatever, or I just posted some stuff or something. So if you're interested in getting that, just enter your email in here and I'll send that. And then if you want to contact me anytime, you can fill this section out here at the bottom, or just send me an email direct at pete@figlife.com, and I'll try to respond to you as soon as possible. So that was we're halfway through the top varieties, the top new varieties of 2021, or at least the ones that I liked or I thought were interesting. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, please subscribe on my YouTube channel and check out my website, www.figlife.com. Thanks.